Hello guys and welcome back to another episode of I'm So Cadizzy. This is our summer special at the end of season 1. We're going to look at what's been going on, who's left, who's come in, what's the state of the squad. Let's take a look together. Let's see what's been going on before we kick off season 2. Thanks for being here as always. Appreciate your support. Let's crack on. So let's kick things off with the new deals. Who got new contracts this summer and who didn't? Now the first one, which was a big sort of talking point and a big decision for me to make, and it was one I was deliberating for probably the last 6 months of the season, was the running down contract of Luis Hernandez. He's 34 years old. He's going to turn 35 pretty soon. He was a key player for me last year, but I did certainly look to... I certainly was going to look into improving the centre-back positions this summer. So it was kind of a decision. In the end, I have decided to give him a contract. The main reason being I had to agree to still make him a regular starter. And what I am looking forward to, what I'll be looking to do probably as the season goes on a bit, is reduce that and get him to go down to squad player. But he wouldn't take that straight away. I didn't want to leave myself short in the positions for now. So I thought for the sake of $5,000 a week, which is all it took to get him to sign up, it was definitely worth it. So Luis Hernandez stays for another 12 months. And on top of that, there's also a new deal for his centre-back partner, Victor Chust. Really impressive last year. Certainly established himself as an important player at the club. And he gets that agreed playing time on his new contract. So he's only 23, so he's still got plenty of time to improve as well. He's signed a new 5-year deal with us. We've tied him down, hopefully, for his best years ahead of him. He does have a £15 million minimum fee release clause in there, which we'll have to keep an eye on just in case. But for $14,000 a week, bargain signing really in terms of contract deal. Really pleased to keep Victor Chust here for at least the next season or two. We'll see how his progress develops, how he does, and obviously in the meantime, if he does really well, we might have to fight off interest from other teams with that little minimum fee release. But we can we might improve on that. If he has another banging season this year and proves to be as important to the team, then further on we may get to give him another contract anyway and get rid of that clause. And then that leads us on to probably the most important new contract of the summer. Jeremiah Ledesma was a beast for us between the sticks last year. Without a doubt, this guy, he won us points. He won us games by himself, without a doubt. So I had no qualms when he come to me at the end of the season and said, "Boss, I want a new deal. I want one that reflects my importance to the club." And he absolutely gets it. He's agreed playing time. He's now a star player at the club. Absolutely reflects that. Still got at least probably 3, 4, 5 years in him as well as a 30-year-old goalkeeper. He becomes, at the time of offering him the contract, the highest paid player at the club on $30,000 a week. We more than doubled his wages to keep him here. I've whacked in a minimum fee release clause as well, 36 million. So for somebody to prize him away, they're going to have to pay us the bucks. But yeah, really pleased that Ledesma's staying as well. And probably, like I said, the most important contract signing. And now we're going to get on to one where we couldn't agree a new deal for one of our key players. And that man was Brian Ocampo. Granted, Ocampo was a great player for us last season, real key figure in the squad. He was on $8,500 a week, and he come to me and wanted a new deal. I had no issues with that at all. Like, absolutely, $8,500 a week was not enough for him. However, as you can see from what you're looking on the screen now, this is what I offered him, and what I was prepared to offer him was $30,500 a week. So almost 4 times his current wage. Nearly £1 million signing on fee. His agent would have got over 70 grand. A 4-year deal. On top of that 30 grand a week, he wanted an appearance fee of 7k. Happy to pay that. So effectively, he would be on 37.5 weeks. He'd play most weeks. An assist bonus of 5.5. Bonuses for getting in the team of the year and top goal scorer. And a seasonal landmark assist bonus. So it's 15 assists. I would have given him another 150 grand. He's rejected it. And as you can see from the top left there, from his agent, he's actually got the cheek to say, ask you to make an acceptable offer for my client, and you failed to do so. I'll be honest with you, I was livid after this meeting. Brian Ocampo has rejected in what I mean, that would have made him the highest paid player at the club. And he's rejected it. So, in that respect, like, I've got no time. So, Ocampo come to me about a week after this, whinging that he hadn't been given the new deal that he asked for. So we sat down, we had a meeting, and I told him. I said, well, I offered you a new deal. It's not my fault that you rejected it. And with that, he had a transfer request. So Brian Ocampo, it's all turned very bitter. It's all turned very nasty. And he now wants out of the club. Now, he has got a £15 million release clause in his contract. However, I'm not sure if we're going to get anywhere near that for him. I mean, he is only valued at 7.25 mil. But as you can see, the opening offers that are coming in from Eintracht Frankfurt, Hoffenheim, Leipzig, we're looking at 6.75 max. We've had, 6.5 million again from Red Bull Salzburg. We've had 5 million from Club America. So teams are just not getting anywhere near that 15 million release clause. So, but at the same time, I don't want a bad egg at my club. So we could see Brian Ocampo leave quite soon for, if I can get 7.25, 7.5, if I can get what he's worth, then I suppose in that respect I've got to be happy. But yeah, Ocampo could be leaving in what has been a surprise development over the summer. And while we're on the subject of obviously players leaving the club, obviously Jose Marie did officially retire from professional footballer. He's become a manager, doesn't have the greatest stats, but Jose Marie has left the club, which obviously left us with a void in that deep line playmaker role that I like to play on defend in central midfield. So that was something that we'd have to look at over the summer with our signings and with that nine and a bit million that we had to spend. But Jose Marie, officially gone. And the man that was brought in to replace him is Emil Bohinen. I think that's how you say it. 24-year-old Norwegian. Brought in for a total of 5.5 million from Salernitana, where last season he played 24 times, made 4 assists in Serie A. They've made good profit on him after what a season. They've nearly doubled their money. They seemed happy with that. He's, like I said, he's progressive, 24 years old. Current ability is classed as a good La Liga player. Could improve slightly on that into a 4-star, according to my assistant manager's ratings, obviously. But yeah, he's solely suited to that deep line playmaker. He's perfect for that position. He's got good passing ability, good vision, good positioning. He's a decent tackler of the ball as well, because I do play that role on the defensive mode. So he's got a good first touch, great decision making, good composure on the ball. Anticipation, which is really key for that deep line playmaker role, just simply because he needs to be anticipate the defensive side of the game and cutting out opposition moves, but also needs to be able to anticipate the runs of our forwards for those through balls from deep. So he actually looks like a much better player than the 6.82 rating that he earned himself at Salernitana. And all I can really put that down to is maybe he was just playing in a really bad team that just didn't win many games. I mean, Salernitana last year, if we have a look, I'm not sure where they finished, but yeah, 14th. They only won 11 games all season. So I'd imagine that had a contributing effect to his overall rating. And I would not be surprised to see Bohinen easily excel into a 7.0 minimum for us. Decent buy as well. Like I said, 5.5 million forked out. He's immediately worth 6.2 to 7.8. So yeah, in that respect, money-wise, it made sense. Good signing. Really pleased to have Bohinen here. And I think he's a really good replacement for Jose Marie as well. Now, don't get me wrong, although I'm pleased to have Bohinen here, he wasn't necessarily, don't tell him this, obviously, but he wasn't necessarily my first choice. We did try to snap up Dani Ceballos, who was let go by Real Madrid. Contract came to an end. We did go for him. He would have fitted that role perfectly. He would have been a great signing for us, no doubt. However, he was in high demand. As you can see, he's joined Lyon on nearly 40 grand a week. I think that we offered him 36, but but just generally as well, he obviously sees Lyon to be a bigger club than us, competing at higher level at the moment. So it's sort of understandable, but yeah, we did miss out on Dani Ceballos as well, but we did go for him. But like I said, Bohannon, yeah, he wasn't first choice. He wasn't second choice either. Yeah, that's because we did actually go for Dennis Praet as well from Leicester, the Belgian central midfielder. Bit awkward. And yeah, like Bohannon, like, honestly, mate, I think you're great. You're going to be great for us. But yeah, we did have a deal for 4.4 million with Leicester agreed. Unfortunately, Dennis Praet did also reject our contract offer. I do think he would have been a great signing for us, but yeah, he opted not to come. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, the lad's on what? I don't know what he's on at the moment. Yeah, 75 grand a week. I think the maximum we could go to was about 55. So yeah, he just wasn't having it. He rejected it. He wasn't prepared to take the big pay cut, even though we could have given him first team football regularly, which he didn't get at Leicester last year. Only played 5 times, so I thought we might be able to nick him for a really small fee as well. Bearing in mind, Leicester only paid over 18 million for him for only a couple of seasons ago, but it wasn't to be. And yeah, Dennis Praet turned his back on us as well. He wasn't the only player to do so this summer either. He wasn't the only player that we got through to contract offer. I thought I was going to snap someone up, only for him to reject it again. And weirdly enough, it was another Leicester player that did. I was looking to bring in a new striker. Jose Perez looked like the one for me. Although his description is done as attacking midfielder, but as you'll see in a minute, he's got all the aspects, all the attributes to be the sort of striker that I wanted him to be. And again, a deal was agreed for 7 million, rising to 8 for Perez, and yeah, unfortunately he rejected a contract offer as well. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. He's looking at his stats. He would have been great. I mean, work rate's good off the ball movement. I mean, I'm sure that Perez, although he's not been fantastic for Leicester, we have got to remember that this is a guy that did score sort of what? He scored 40 plus goals for Newcastle, 45 plus goals for Newcastle. In the Premier League. So he's played at the highest level and he can score goals. And I just thought that coming over to Spain, slightly easier league, granted by not much, but I thought Perez could have revived his career with us for a really reasonable fee. But again, wasn't to be. He's on big money. He's on 80 grand a week. We couldn't get near that. And yeah, unfortunately for first team football, he wasn't interested in taking the pay cut. And that then brings us on to the third player that we missed out on this summer. Cedric from Arsenal was after a move. The experienced fullback that can play on either side. Would have been a really good fit for me as a squad player. Probably would have been a first team starter, but certainly would have provided great cover on either side. I had a deal agreed with him for a deal agreed with Arsenal. They accepted my bid. I think of that 1.4 million that Espanyol also offered. But he's opted for them over me. They offered a bigger wage. I think we offered him 32 grand a week. Again, it was squad player status, so we weren't far off the same sort of thing. But Cedric's opted for Espanyol. Again, turned his back on us. Maybe we're not seen as big enough for him yet. But yeah, that was another one that we missed out on. So it was starting to become quite a frustrating summer. We were missing out on players. We were struggling with the salaries. We obviously had the issues of Ocampo. So yeah, but that all changed when we finally made a couple of signings to improve our squad. And the first of those was Arnau Comas. Now, as you'll see, one of the things from this save that I'm looking to do, and I said this at the very start, is I wanted to have a certain element of focus on Spanish players. So we wanted to keep a nice Spanish core. We're not limiting it to Spanish players by any stretch, but we do want to have a core of Spanish players and keep a certain element of the national side in our squad. So that's something I'm always looking out for. And then also age-wise, obviously, as we know, we took over a massively ageing squad a year ago. Hugely brought that average down already. And Arnau Comas does that a little bit further as well. So he's only 23 years old. He is from Spain. And you will see that he is worth 12.5 to 14 million. However, we only had to pay 5.75 to get him to join us from Basel. Where in Switzerland, he had a really good season last year. As a centre-back, 2 goals and 6 assists and a 7.21 average rating. This lad looks like a decent player. He's come through the Barcelona youth as well, so we know his pedigree is good. We know his youth background is going to be top-notch from a Spanish point of view. And he returns to his native land to join us in Cadiz. In terms of his, like I said, good La Liga player at the moment, could massively improve into a 4-star. All the attributes are there initially. Good tackler, good marking, good heading, decent jumping reach, strong, composed on the ball, good concentration. And I would expect these, with a career, with a season behind him in Spain, I would expect these to improve. I'm expecting to see improvement in Arnau Comas, who initially joins us as a regular starter. I can see this lad becoming an important player for us over the next couple of seasons. Well, I certainly hope he will as well. He's a big lad at 6'3". He could be the one that's getting up there to head home them headers from the corners. So it wouldn't surprise me to see him get 3, 4, 5 goals this season as well. And the fact that he's already valued at nearly 3 times what we actually paid for him, it's a fantastic piece of business. And even if he does flop, we shouldn't lose money on him, which is what we're always looking for. When we do transfer deals, we want to make sure that we're protecting the longevity of the club by not making deals that we would lose money on, even if they prove not to be a success. But I genuinely think this lad could really be, and he could be looking to take over the reins this year from the aging Luis Hernandez. And he's not the only centre-back to arrive in Cadiz this summer. He does have a new centre-back partner in Jean Huguenet. The French centre-back, again, 23 years old, could massively improve. We're looking to build this club for the years to come. And these two, there's no reason why they don't have the potential ability to become the centre-back pairing for the next 4 or 5 years, if they prove themselves to be. Huguenet initially seen as a better player right now than Comas, but yeah, really some really solid stats. Positioning wise, he is spot on. Really good decision maker. Again, decent concentration, good anticipation of the ball, brilliant tackler, decent marking, 6'1". He's, everything I'd look for. He's not the slowest. He's quite pacey where he needs to be. Good acceleration, so shouldn't get caught out with too many long balls over the top. I'm liking the look of Huguenet. He joined us for just £2.6 million from Austria Lustenau, where again, he had a good season last year. Good average rating of 7.08, playing out in the Austrian top division. Comes from Paris FC as a background. That was his minimum fee release clause. So we just met the clause, 2.6 million upfront paid. Now, as you'll see, you will have seen that obviously I've spent a little bit more than what was in the budget. The other two deals that you've seen that were like £5 million plus, they were sort of 2.5-3 million up front, with the rest on add-ons over the next 2 to 3 years, which I never have an issue with doing, to be fair. If it's a player that I'm going to see as 23 years old that's going to be at the club for at least the next 2 or 3 seasons, then I'll quite happily spread the fee. Why not? It makes sense to do that in football terms, and it's what goes on in real life most of the time. The only time I wouldn't really want to commit to that is if I'm signing an older player for a bit of experience who I think I might only get 1 season from, and then I don't want to be paying for that person potentially after they've left the club or not playing first team football for me. But with these young lads who look like they'll be in the team for years to come and be first team regulars, absolutely no issue with doing that whatsoever. But like I said, for Huguenet, we did pay up front for him, just met that release clause, get the deal done quite swiftly, quite quickly, and we have 2 new centre-backs at the club moving forward. And what I would say, I think, is a significant improvement on what we had last year. Nothing wrong with Hernandez and Chust. They're both still at the club, Victor Chust as well. But I do think these lads are a step up for us and provide excellent cover as well. And we've got 4 good centre-backs now to obviously to play off each other and compete for those positions. And obviously with that, we were able to let a centre-back go as well. So Farley, who barely played for me last year, has left the club for 625k, moving to Getafe. Like I said, he played 6 times last season, just not enough football for him. At 29 years old, he wanted to go and get first team football, and I was happy to move him on. Just not good enough for my team, good enough for Getafe's, I'm pretty sure as well, if I remember rightly. Yeah, they went down. last year anyway, so they'll be playing in the league below, and that's probably more suited to Farley's level, to be fair, and he'll probably be a really important player for them, so fair play to him. The other player that we sold on was Martin Calderon. He wasn't here last year, he was out on loan. We sent him out on loan to Celta Vigo, where he only played 3 times, and again he drops down a division, 375k in the bank from Huesca. So Martin Calderon, central midfielder, again, probably more his level, found his level, not really for us, not really a La Liga player. May improve into when he's only 24, but yeah, not for me, didn't need to keep him around. That obviously left us financially, we've still got $1 million in the bank in the transfer budget as stands. Wage budget, we've got about 45 grand to play with, so we've got a little bit of movement here if need be. And in the bank, 28 million quid. There's been a little bit of a cash windfall in that respect, because the way that things are done in Spain is that you get a TV payment of nearly 41 million throughout the season, but you actually get 20.5 of that paid as an initial payment up front at the start of the season. So that's seen a nice little boost to that bank balance, and we're in a really strong position. We've got nearly 30 million in the bank, running the club well, within our budgets. Yeah, we're making money, we're on the up. We're definitely on the up, I'm sure of it. And while we're talking of clubs on the up, I just wanted to mention this to you. This sort of happened over the summer. It popped up and I thought, wow, Panathinaikos, the Greek side, have moved from 294th to 67th in the European club rankings. When I had a look, they actually made the Europa League final and were beaten by West Ham. West Ham won the final. But yeah, that European run for the Greek side has seen them move up about 225 places. I think 227 to be exact. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. So fair play to Panathinaikos, but I just thought it was something that popped up and I thought, oh, got to share that. Now, obviously, turning our attentions back to our squad and where we sit at the moment, you'll see at the moment I'm on 3rd of August is where I'm at. So we're about halfway through pre-season. Now, obviously, we did have the addition, obviously, of Todd Cantwell has joined the club on a free transfer. You was obviously made aware of that back in the episodes of last season. That's been agreed for a while, so we're really pleased to have him here. Yep, Todd Cantwell has arrived, and you can see so far in pre-season he's doing all right. He's made an initial impression. 3 starts, 1 as a sub. He's scored 2 goals, got 3 assists. It's been he's certainly showing me in pre-season that he could have what it takes to be starting for us on day 1. The other player that come in, and there's a little bit of bad news around this one, and again adds to my summer of frustration. Manor Solomon has joined the club, and like you said, free transfer, and he's our most valuable player at the club. He's worth up to 24 million quid. Like, great signing for us in terms of a freebie. However, in pre-season, during one of the games, he's torn his knee ligaments. He's receiving specialist treatment, but he's out for 3 to 4 months. So Solomon's gonna miss the first few months of the season. And to say I'm gutted is an absolute understatement. Especially bearing in mind that obviously Brian Ocampo could be on his way out of the club. We may need to look to the loan market for at least 3 or 4 months, maybe the first 6 months of the season, for another winger to provide cover. But in general, in that sort of position, we are pretty well covered. So this is the squad as it stands at the moment. I'm pretty happy at centre-back. I'm pretty happy in the full-back positions. Central midfield, plenty of cover there, especially once our players come back from injury. Now, obviously, Gustavo Assunção, our signing from last year, he is attracting some interest, and we've had a couple of bids for him in sort of the £2 million region. Definitely not going to let him go. I paid 4.3. I think he's got loads of improvement in him, this youngster, and I think he could become an important player for us this year. So yeah, clubs coming in with 2 million are being told immediately where to go. Certainly not. But yeah, plenty of cover there. Central midfield and everything else. Attacking midfield is good. Lots of positions in the wings. Like I said, we've got Alex Fernandez, we've got Todd Cantwell, we've got Bongonda, who again is attracting some interest from the likes of Girona, Empoli. We've had a couple of bids for him in the £4 million to £5 million region. Certainly not enough to even consider letting him go. And luckily, he's not throwing his dummy out of the pram. He's quite happy to stay at the moment. He's not saying that he wants to leave. He's not unhappy that I'm rejecting these bids. The only place where we are really probably lacking is an out-and-out striker. So obviously, we had a couple of players. Obviously, Lucas Perez left us on a freebie. And yeah, so it's left us a bit short. These players can all play up front. However, we may need to turn to that loan market and look for another Makoko. Yes, I did try to sign Makoko again on loan again, but Borussia Dortmund were having none of it. Couldn't keep him at the club. Did also try and keep Francisco Conceição here from Ajax, the winger that played well last season. Again, club weren't having any of it. Couldn't keep either of them here, unfortunately. One player that is going to get an opportunity here, though, is Milutin Osmacic. So, yeah, the Montenegrin forward. He was out on loan last season, so he wasn't here. He's only 24, but he had a half-decent season playing in Portugal's top division for Vizela. He scored 10 goals, 32 appearances, 10 goals, 4 man of the matches, a decent average rating across the course of the season. Osmacic deserves an opportunity, I think, in our squad. Maybe not as my first choice striker, but certainly good enough to be my backup if I can bring in a good loanee. But yeah, Osmacic will be here this year and will get a chance. He's only 24. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on him and seeing what he can do throughout the upcoming season. And really the last thing to really update you on what's been going on over the summer is we improved the coaching team. So as you'll see from the screen right now, we have pretty much the best coaching team in the whole of La Liga now. So it's only taken us a season to get there. Really happy with that. The only place where we're lacking slightly is fitness. But to be fair, we're still second, only behind Real Madrid. So we'll take that. But first for everything else. The board allowed me to increase the number of coaches from 7 to 9. New coaches that have come in was João Trauhão, Portuguese 42-year-old. Great with youngsters, good tactical coaching, good attacking coaching. We brought in a new goalkeeping coach in the form of Borja Fernandez, Spanish coach, good goalkeeping attributes there, 14 across the board. So yeah, added a couple more coaches and improved that team there. So as we are, like I said, we're in August. We've played some friendlies and it's been a little bit mixed so far, I'm not going to lie. We're currently just finished a tour in France. And yeah, we started off with a 1-1 draw against Ibiza from the lower leagues in Spain. As you'll see, we absolutely pummeled them for 90 minutes and couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Didn't say a lot for Osmacic, the man that we're looking to give a chance to, but all was forgiven because I was like, well, look, it's the first game. Like, fitness isn't good. We've had the summer break. Everyone's put on a little bit of weight. Everyone's been partying. Let's get back and get in the swing of things. And these stats here certainly weren't anything. There was nothing wrong on this side. We just didn't put the ball in the back of the net. We didn't have any problems against Le Mans, though, in our first game in France. 26 shots yet again, 71% position, but this time we put 7 in the back of the net. And unbelievably, Ruben Sobrino could be the man that plays up front this year. 6 goals. 6 of the 7 were scored by Sobrino. Unreal performance from him. A 4-3 victory over Boulogne, and this was a really weird game. As you can see, we went 3-0 down inside 38 minutes and came back to win 4-3. And Todd Cantwell was a big sort of factor in turning this game around as he scored a man of the match performance with a goal and an assist. And again, we were really dominant in the stats, so not too concerned. But this was slightly worrying, conceding 3 goals where very early, there were 3 poor goals that just hoofed over the top. So I'm not quite sure. There were little moments to be worried about, but yeah. But the biggest frustration has been the most recent result against Troyes. And again, heavy rotation and players playing out of position. Again, highly dominant on statistics, but again struggled to put the ball in the back of the net. And that seems to already be a little bit of a feature in a couple of games so far. So we've got 3 more to play. We're playing Lagrange. I'm sorry about these pronunciations. I'm not sure if I'm getting it right. But we're playing at Lagrange. I'm assuming it probably more likely is. Then we've got a big game against Dortmund at home. Should be a bit of a money maker. Bring the fans in. And Elect as well to finish things off before the season starts. So I'll be back here probably for us to play that first game of the season away at Sporting Gijón or Gijón. So yeah, well, that's who we're kicking things off against. We'll be back for that, so I'll update you with what happens in the meantime. The only other thing really to speak to you about before we go is that the board have now set out their expectations for the upcoming season. And basically that is they want top half. After our performance in making Europe last year, in La Liga this year, we are expected to finish in the top half. No real excuses. Just be competitive in domestic cup competition. No real expectations there. And be competitive in the Europa League. That seems to have dropped, because when we set our visions out at the end of last season, I swear, and I'm sure that if I went back and looked at the episode, we showed it, they were saying they wanted us to make the knockout stages, which I thought was ridiculously ambitious for our first season in the Europa League. However, they have had a rethink and decided, you know what, we was a little bit OTT with that. Just be competitive and we'll be happy. So I think we've got a good enough squad to make top half again. I'd like to think we'll be pushing for Europe again. Obviously these transfer budgets, this has changed. Obviously, as you'll notice, certain parts in this video aren't in order. I just strung them together to give you hopefully a more fluent experience in this episode. But yeah, that's where we're at. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. As always, thanks to my subscribers. We're pushing 2,500 views now on my videos. So I really appreciate your support. Yeah, keep an eye out tomorrow for the next episode and the start of season 2. That kickoff, we'll be kicking off with that first game. If you want to subscribe to the video, guys, then the link is down in the description. It's the top line. Just click that. It'll take you to my page and it'll pop up with a little box saying, do you want to subscribe? Just hit yes and you will be subscribed to the TNSSO channel. Thanks a lot, guys. I'll speak to you soon.